Okay, just some odds and ends of stuff. But the number one thing is a couple of you have asked how to be successful in this course. And the thing I hope you've realized is that this course is a fair amount of work. And so it can't be done on Sunday. It's got to start on Monday. And I put the discussion questions and all the work at the end of the week because what I want you to be doing during the week is reading the chapter. I think the best way to do this course is to read the chapter first and to then listen to the narrated PowerPoint. Because I think if you do that, then you will get introduced to the concepts and you might not understand everything. But then when you hear it the second time, which is my narrated PowerPoint, hopefully it will answer questions. If you just go into the narrated PowerPoint, I don't think that's enough. So I really think that you need to be reading the chapters on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then watch the narrated PowerPoint. And like I said, in going over the homework, look at the equations and see what are they telling me, because they're just shorthand. It's not really math. It's shorthand for a concept. And so make sure that you have the concept. Um, the Excel files that underline the exhibits are all available to you if the Excel is a problem or if you're trying to figure out what they're doing. But or even without those, it's good practice to look at those exhibits and say and see if you can calculate, see if you can get from this number to this number, and so you can figure out what they're doing. But you certainly want to get beyond just plugging and chugging into formulas and not understanding what you're doing. But so I think the key is you got to work on this class all week long. And it's really not that difficult. Part of it is learning the new terminology. If this is your first finance class, because the terms are even different than accounting, because we have market terms and securities terms that you don't have in accounting. So part of it is that. And so it does get easier as we go because we stop learning new terms at some point. Um, but so again, I think if you read the chapter, and so the other thing is when you read the chapter, I guess I would ask myself, okay, what's the big takeaway from this chapter? Because every word is not equally important in the chapter. And that's a problem that undergrads have with finances. They think all words are equal, and so they have to memorize or learn every single word in the chapter, and that's not true. In every single chapter, there's typically one big concept. And so you want to ask yourself, okay, what is that one big concept? Um, what are we doing in chapter 12? Corporate valuation. Well, corporate valuation is what we've already been doing in chapter 7 and in chapter 2. So it's more of the same, except we've got additional financing needed is the new concept there. So, kind of ask yourself, what's the big concept? Most of the most of the problems will be problems. We'll have a few essay questions as we go through the course, but not that many. So I think it's just time. I really think it's time, putting in the time and reading the book and listening to every single thing I post like this. Because as I said on the quiz recap, apparently nobody listened to my recap of the discussion board from week 2 because I gave you the answer to question 1 in that and nobody had it. So chose me. So anyway, I think that's the key to success is just put in the time. So the second thing is, there was something about this. Oh, next week. Next week are your IPOs. Okay, that's it. Next week are your IPOs, and the majority of people want to do it alone because your work schedules are so crazy. And so to try and coordinate with somebody was just going to be add a whole nother layer of difficulty. So when we get to next week, the first thing you have to do is figure out who you want to look at for their initial public offering. And I said try to keep it to the last 5 years. If you really want to look at somebody that's outside 5 years, that's fine. But I was sort of like more recent ones. So the first thing you have to do is go into the discussion board and post who your IPO company is, because you can only do one. Each person can only do one. Okay, so once it's taken, it's gone. So you might be thinking about who you want to do for your IPO right now, and then next week go in there and be first so you get who you want. The final thing is in week 7 is going to be your final project. And your final project is the thing that you want to do at your company. And so what I'm going to have you do is evaluation of your company right now. So based on historical financial statements and forecasting them into the future, and then turning them into cash flows and into value like we've been doing. And then to talk about the thing that you want to do that's different and how it impacts the cash flows, and then do a revised forecast with the thing. Okay. So just kind of be thinking about that. I don't think it's going to be a ton of work, but you obviously have to have access to your financial statements. And, if you need to talk to management to know anything. Oh, the other thing is that your real financial statements are going to have tons of lines in them, and you don't need to do all those lines. I would say, if you've got revenue, operating expenses, other kinds of expenses, keep it simple, summarize them. You can go straight from sales to EBIT to EBT, um, like some of our simple problems. So don't worry about forecasting every single line in your financial statements. Keep it simple. But you do have to figure out how your change is going to probably impact either revenue or expenses, wherever it's going to show up. So just be thinking about that. Think about what you want to do and maybe getting access to your financial statements so you have them ready to go for week 7.